Memorial Day was originally called Decoration Day and was created by black folks in Charleston, South Carolina that were formerly enslaved. They made their own orders and exhumed a mass grave full of dead Union soldiers, reburied their bodies, and commemorated their lives with a celebration and parade. And this is truly no surprise, but whenever black folks are fully involved in America's history, it's our impact they try to hide.
At the end of the war, in an expression of reverence and gratitude, 28 African American workers gave them proper burials. They inscribed above their final resting place, Martyrs of the Racecourse. 2 weeks later, thousands of freed slaves, school children, and Union soldiers made a procession to the cemetery to pay tribute to their sacrifice. They laid flowers on the graves, listened to speeches, and picnicked on the grass. This informal observance, and others like it, would evolve over time into the holiday we know as Memorial Day.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me for Conversations with Taz. And guess what? I'm not alone today. Welcome, D-Bag. Hey. Now, we got a lot to get into tonight. So it might be a little rapid fire, but we going to give you what we going to give you.
So it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. We generally come up with good ideas for the most part. So, again, it doesn't surprise me.
We come up with everything. But our first story for the night coming from Gizmodo.com. Surveillance tech didn't stop the Uvalde massacre. On Tuesday, a horrific but familiar story unfolded. A disturbed first of all, he wasn't disturbed. He was 18-year-old, had traveled to Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where he used a legally purchased assault rifle to murder 21 people, 19 children, and two teachers. Before the dust had settled over the Texas border town, the conversation turned to prevention of future shootings. Schools across Texas quickly promised increased security and new protective measures. You know what? But hold on. There's another update from this. From commondreams.org, Texas Democrat demands federal probe of police response to Uvalde shooting. State officials have provided conflicting accounts that are at odds with those provided by witnesses, said U.S. Representative Joaquin Castro. Hold on, still not done. Because we know from NBCDFW.com that there was an 11-year-old survivor of the Uvalde massacre who put blood on herself to play dead, according to her aunt. And then in the wake of the shooting, from finance.yahoo.com, yes, from finance.yahoo.com, China urges UN rights chief to look into school shootings in U.S. The Global Times made the suggestion in an editorial Tuesday, a day after Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian said at a regular briefing in Beijing that the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights should produce a report on problems the U.S. faces. The U.S. system is equally incapable or lacks interest, motivation, and courage to address these problems thoroughly, said the Communist Party newspaper, which added that U.S. domestic issues have intensified its external aggression.
Okay, so do you want me to give my opinion? So here's the thing, Republicans, and I know you're out there listening, and I hope that Twitter gets a hold of this video, chops it up however they want to chop it up if they have to. I want to know, do you have an official tally that you have to reach in order before you actually do something? I mean, really, do you have a tally? Can I see the tally? Do you have it on a piece of paper, a floppy disk, a zip drive? I mean, just let me know so that way we can inform the would-be school shooters that are going to be coming up in these years until y'all do something to say, hey, this is the tally that they want to get to. So this is how many people you got to take out, because this is utter ridiculousness. Every other developing nation out here in these streets has temporal gun control laws. We the only outliers. And I don't care. One second. I don't care what the founding fathers wanted or intended. That has no bearing on me. because those laws were made without me or anybody who looks like me or anybody in the POC community looks like. Those, they did not take us into account
Well,
at
if
all.
taking this into account, let us once again revisit the Second Amendment. This is for a militia. Where have you all formed militias? Where are you all regularly training? And the Second Amendment says that you are to be regulated. Where is the regulation? And here's another thing from the businessinsider.com, because y'all know I will go to the depths to get the real. Lawmaker asks FBI to investigate police response to Uvalde massacre, including apparent failure to confront shooter. Here are the cliff notes. A Texas Democrat is urging the FBI to investigate the police response to the Uvalde school shooting. Representative Joaquin Castro wants the Bureau to provide a complete and comprehensive account. The request comes after several reports law enforcement failed to confront the government for up to an hour. And also, as of today, the police department is no longer cooperating with any investigations right now. The investigations that they previously said in a press conference that they would cooperate with. I personally have counted 14 different accounts coming from police officers. I'm not talking about the people standing outside, because I know accounts can be different when you're standing outside, because if you standing to the left, things are going to look different. If you standing to the right, things are going to look different. If you standing to the middle, things are going to look different. I get that. And I'm not saying the people outside are lying. Don't take it that way. But it's obvious the cops are lying. Because what other profession allows you to go in and save your children when you took an oath to protect and save? And we supposed to hashtag back the blue? I thought it was hashtag all lives matter.
It's protect and serve.
No, it's project and swerve.
I know.
I said it right. That's what they took an oath to do. Project and swerve.
So I'm gonna say this, and like I said, we got a lot of things we got to talk about, and it's gonna be rapid fire. I'm gonna turn off this air conditioner in a minute because it's so loud, and I'm sorry, I do beg your pardon, but it's hot, and I don't have central air like some people who shall remain nameless, but
Should they?
but anyway, okay. It's just ridiculous to me that we have to sit here and beg, plead, prevail, march, do all these things, and still nothing gets done. Something should have been done when Columbine happened. Something should have been done when Virginia Tech happened before that. These should have been taken into place. But y'all are still sitting on your hands because y'all. Can I say what I can I go full in here? Because I don't want us to get banned. That's the one thing I don't want to have.
We only seem to get banned on Sundays when somebody has a off day and can sit here and report us. Go ahead.
I don't know what it is about the federal government that is still sucking the NRA's dick to not get off of that and actually do something to protect these kids. Hey, Kiki, how's it going? I'm just like, what is it going to take? How many more children have to be buried before y'all actually do something? I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of every other week, every other month, or every other year we have a school shooting.
But see, when Kent State was shot up in the 70s, they should have taken a stand. But before we move on to anything else, coming from the vibe, it's with a heavy heart as a mother, this hits me hard. Masterpiece's 29-year-old daughter, Tatiana Miller, has reportedly passed away over the weekend. I saw this, and because there are so many celebrity and celebrity children death hoax, I didn't want to say anything, but Romeo Miller as well as Percy Miller, aka Master P, did report it. As far as I know, no cause of death has been noted, but Master P did write publicly that mental illness and substance abuse is a real issue that we can't be afraid to talk about. And I know all too well about this personally and having to deal with people in my personal life regarding this. So please deal with people on the level that they can be dealt with. And if you do not understand mental illness, don't try to force people into what you think the perfect box is or what you think a healthy box is. Just be there to listen, be there to guide. And please, please, please stop this trope of, oh, you're selfish if you do. No, you are selfish for forcing them to suffer and not helping them no longer suffer. Stop saying, oh, you need to live for this person. Nobody needs to live for another person. They need to live for themselves and find the light within themselves, because it is extremely selfish to tell somebody to hold on to the mortal realm for your comfort.
Yeah. There's a quote. Hold on one second. Let me see. Just give me one moment.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to check on this comment real quick.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Brittany. And if everybody, no questions asked, just send positive vibes and positive light to my lovely Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Thank you in advance. Don't DM me afterwards. Don't DM her afterwards, because if I find out that you did, hell will have no fury.
I'm not in there. I'm not saying nothing.
Well, while you found that, I'm going to run this next clip, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Young white men and boys are being radicalized into white nationalism at an alarmingly high rate. You may not see it if you don't hang out in the spaces that they occupy. The world of video games is a hotbed. So are platforms like Reddit, Discord, Twitch, and 8chan. And I know this because of how many of them have made their presence known in my comments section anytime I post about race. They're starting young, and they're not lone wolves. It's no wonder that spree killers like the Buffalo shooter, the Oxford shooter, and Dylan Roof, the young man that killed those worshipers at Emmanuel, all did so in the name of white nationalism. There are organizations that are actively recruiting mostly young white men and boys, many of whom are under the age of 12, into these far-right groups. They're normalizing white supremacist ideologies and targeting vulnerable young minds. This is happening at an alarming rate. If you're a parent, you need to be aware of this. It's more common than you think, and the cost to us as a culture is deadly. Check on your boys.
And let me add on to that real quick. If you missed Fantastic Tuesdays, as always, it's the video. It'll either be right before this or right after it. YouTube determines up there. There is a clip that I included with that podcast that will let you know just how ingrained it is in far too many young white boys, that it is okay to take a life, that is glorified, that is okay, that is encouraged. Go ahead, Tia.
So I came across that clip that she's speaking about, and it's on my TikTok page if you want to see it, and then follow it back to the original video. My TikTok handle is DMAC5x5. There's no by, it's just literally, it's like 5 times 5. I just say 5x5 or whatever. And I literally go into a detail about this environment that he's in, and most white boys find themselves in. I'm going to say a great deal of them. I'll say a great deal, because just like we don't like to be overgeneralized for saying that we're thugs and criminals and ratchet and loud and all that shenanigans and bitter angry women for the black women. I'm not going to overgeneralize, but I'm going to say for a great deal of young white men, that particular environment where the glorification of just taking people's lives for no apparent reason is what they sit in. And it's a normalized behavior for them. So when I saw that clip of this this boy had to be no older than 5. I'm going to say no older than 5. I'm just guessing. And literally the person asked him, what does he want to be when he grows up? Now, for most people, for most young children, when you ask them that question, some will say a doctor, a basketball player, baseball player, some sports. I haven't gotten a Spider-Man yet, but I haven't been asking the right people.
Spider-Man, Black Panther, because at that age, a lot of them do not know the difference between fact and fiction. And the fact that this little boy could use murder and killing synonymously, he's having conversations with an adult.
High-handed at conversations at that. And I'm just like, most people, when they answer that question and they're that age, it's something to do with just off of the top of their head. So see, and here's the thing. I'm going to say this to you, and I want people. Batman. Good one, Brittany. Here's the thing. Children watch you. If you think that these children do not sit and take notice of the things that you do, say, or anything else in your world that they're a part of, they take notice of you heavily. And the very fact that you don't think, and see, here's the difference between an adult and a child. They'll be able to see what you're seeing, but see that filtering process that adults has not been developed in a child yet. They're going to just say what comes to their mind because it's on their mind. Now, there are some neurotypical. If I'm wrong, say I'm wrong. Neurotypical people who have that same childlike filter where they'll just say what's on their mind.
Oh no, those are neurodivergent people.
Neurodivergent. I was like, I knew it was one of them. I'm sorry. My bad, folk. My bad.
That's like me. When sometimes y'all be like, Taz, why you say that? And I'm like, why shouldn't I? And you're like, you're not supposed to say that. And I'm like, it's the truth. And y'all like, okay, it's the truth, but you ain't supposed to say it out loud. That is how a child is.
And they'll have that same non-filter shenanigans, and sometimes even people who have had strokes where that filtering service is gone. We had an example with Golden Girls. Sophia said exactly what she was thinking at that time. She did not filter herself.
Sophia never filtered herself.
She didn't.
She is my hero. That's what I'm saying. Don't never put me in a home, because if you do, I'm going on Amazon and I'm ordering a hot plate. And if you don't know that reference, get your Golden Girls on. But
get you go.
Just to piggyback off of that, because I didn't realize we were going to segue so beautifully into this. There's actually going to be three clips.
Good morning. Bad news. The United States is being occupied by a domestic military force with no external oversight, no accountability, and effectively no limits on their budget. So-called law enforcement organizations have long since outgrown any form of traditional policing and now unambiguously exist to maintain political power and protect the wealthy. Hi, I'm Dan from the Internet for Good Morning Bad News, and we're going to talk about how the police are effectively an occupying military force actively looting the United States. Before the 2000s, during the community policing era that followed the civil rights movement, law enforcement refocused on developing relationships within communities to address the problems facing those communities. But if you're under the age of 30, that doesn't seem like what cops do when they criminalize the unhoused, run over protesters, or kill unarmed people of color for minor or imagined crimes. It doesn't seem like what cops do because the community policing era ended on 9/11. In the aftermath of the Patriot Act and the newly created Department of Homeland Security, law enforcement began to transition to a sort of domestic counter-terrorist organization, and instead redefining themselves as an occupying force in neighborhoods that they treat like active combat zones. Now, there are 4 big reasons why this transition has been so aggressive. The first is qualified immunity, which comes from a Supreme Court ruling in 1967 when a group of priests were arrested, some of them black, for eating lunch in a coffee shop. But when the facts of the case actually came in and it was blatantly obvious that the cop was wrong, the judge who found them guilty was wrong, and the statute that they were arrested under itself was unconstitutional, the Supreme Court ruled that none of those facts mattered. Cops and judges were immune from prosecution unless they knowingly violated the law. And as we see in the last year, it basically takes murder captured in 4K and the biggest civil rights protest in US history to overcome that basic hurdle. The second reason police are able to act with impunity is because, as it turns out, the most fundamental thing they're supposed to do, protect law-abiding citizens from harm, is actually not even in the job description. In 2005, the Supreme Court ruled in Castle Rock v. Gonzalez that police do not have a constitutional duty to protect a person from harm. The third piece of the hustle comes from police unions. And while we support unions against all powerful corporate employers, in this case as public servants, police unions impose accountability from their employers, you, the public. The problem here is when local governments try to make even minor changes towards increasing police accountability, the police in those communities use their legally granted discretion and immunity to target and punish the politicians that promote those policies. For example, in Minneapolis, the city council redirected 5% of the $180 million police budget to pay for nonviolent crime prevention programs and mental health crisis teams. In response, the fully staffed police department stopped responding to 911 calls, specifically in a single council member's district who had pushed for the budget change. It's actually insane when you realize that modern police unions are operating a mafia-like protection racket. If you don't give us the money we demand, we won't show up when you're in an emergency. On top of all the legal, political, and cultural power that police have in the United States, they've also spent the last 30 years transitioning from beat cops with nightsticks and Crown Vics to fully militarized assault units with grenade launchers and tanks. And hey, it's probably not a huge surprise this hyper-militarization of the police began with our favorite despicable ghoul, Ronald Reagan. In 1981, Reagan passed the Military Cooperation with Civilian Law Enforcement Agencies Act, which let civilian law enforcement use military facilities, equipment, and training under the guise of the war on drugs. And although there were initially some limits, after 9/11 it became a literal free-for-all. In the last 20 years, over $40 billion of equipment has been distributed to police departments with absolutely no oversight or management. So let's call it like it is. What we actually have in the United States is a violent, vengeful, and organized syndicate that cannot be controlled or held accountable by the public. They wield massive political power, siphon billions of dollars from our taxes without any oversight, brutalize marginalized communities that dare stand up against them in protest, and arm themselves with the same equipment as the most powerful military force in history. Perhaps it's our fault for thinking that protect and serve meant us and not them.
One of the things that always surprises people when I tell them I'm a school shooting survivor is the fact that the Westboro Baptist Church protested at our school for months after the shooting happened, and we even had an assembly for how to deal with them.
They say it like it is, and they say it loudly, and they say it like it is, and they say it loudly, and they complain, and they say, I don't like this, you're treating me unfairly, and they're right, but we don't want to hear it, and it's very painful to hear it.
You said about how when they complain they're right. That is just what I said that I thought is my point is it doesn't matter if you are right.
Now let me explain why I paired those three videos together. One, I have preached to you all over several social media platforms what the Supreme Court has said the police can do and cannot do. And the Republicans know, because the Republicans push for this, and that's why they worked so hard to stack the Supreme Court the way that it is now. Let's be real. They took us back to the 50s and 60s with this current Supreme Court. Okay? But think about it. One of the first in our lifetime school shooting survivors just said the Westboro Church, a collection of Christians, protested their school, not protesting their school in the enforcement of gun control. If you're not familiar with the Westboro Church, take a moment, go back, Google it. You can come back. You can rerun, fast forward as we go. Watch this how you want, or Google it all night long and come back and look at the time. We're at 24 minutes and 44 seconds right now. Come back to this and go forward. They were not there. They were there to accost the children. The Westboro Church is the same people who will protest gay funerals, well, funerals of members of the LGBTQIA plus community, service members, indigenous, actually anybody with any type of melanin, any type of victim, they are there. How Christian of them. And I also wanted to couple it with white people being honest about their discomfort about us marginalized, us melanated people, speaking the truth to them. So when you see a troll in your comment section, when you see somebody doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, it's not because you're wrong, baby. It's because they're uncomfortable and they don't want to face that discomfort. They want you to be uncomfortable. They don't mind you dying. The same people that I told you were now turning in, well, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you, I told D-Mac before we went forward. But there are people, staunch Second Amendment, GOP, conservative Republicans, now driving to police stations, turning in their AR-15s. The only reason that they are now is because they're looking at the proximity of where these huntings are taking place. And they're like, damn, I shop here. I go here. My child is enrolled here. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? Because it's now coming to their front door or too close. Now they care, just like the whole bodily autonomy / abortion fight. When women of color were like, this ain't our fight. We've been telling you for centuries, this is what was going to happen. We taking our capes off. We're protecting our peace. We've been fighting to protect our rights and trying to fight to protect your rights, but you kept dumping on us. This is exactly what is happening now. This is why I coupled those 3 videos together. But go ahead, Dee.
So, for those people watching right now on YouTube and Facebook, I have an honest question for you.
And the Twitter.
Oh, are they watching on Twitter too? They can do that?
Because of how it shares from my Facebook fan pages, yes.
Oh, sweet, cool. I have an honest question for you. If you're honestly tired of what's going on, what are you doing, myself included, to affect change here? What are you doing? Are you helping? Are you going and investigating your lawmakers that you voted in? Are you checking their backgrounds and making sure that they're actually going to do what they say that they promised you to do? Again, I'm not saying that I don't need to do this too. This is the same investigation I need to start doing now, especially with the upcoming elections in November of this year for the Senate seats and see, here's the thing. Stop worrying about about federal government. Stop worrying about them. Worry about the local government, the governor, the mayors, the judge, and if you live in a commonwealth, the magistrates and all them. Worry about them in your country, in your state or commonwealth, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones deciding bigger things in the federal ring. Worry about them.
That will jump into the federal races, because this one right here can tell you, as jam-packed as my schedule is, yesterday I made it a point to make it to a parade. Why? Because there is a Black gentleman in my commonwealth that has really been out here making changes, making moves, pushing for legislation, and is running for office. So if I wasn't going to do nothing else after I did my due diligence, and if you follow me on TikTok, you can see I got videos up duetting him, proclaim. I was going to be there to support him and to get other people to support him. We were playing no games. Hold on. I need to do the same. I honestly, I've been doing my part through things. Well, okay. Okay. This is one of those times I need to talk to one person one-on-one real quick. Lovely. You are doing what you need to do. You have literally had stumbling blocks put in your place, but you have hurdled them with ease, like an Olympic athlete, to still do what you need to do. So don't get down on yourself. You are doing what you need to do. Take solace in that and take pride in that and continue to do what you do. Everybody has levels that they can do things on. You ain't got to run yourself ragged like I do. And I'm not saying the way I do it is supposed to be the way that you do it, but it's the way that I'm comfortable doing it. It's the way that I know how to do it. But baby girl, you're doing fine. Okay?
Yeah, so I'm going to say this, Brittany. I'm going to speak to you too. If you've had things that have prevented you from going to do anything and it was unavoidable, I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the able-bodied people who didn't have what you had to deal with going on in their normal life, that they could. I'm like, what are you doing? If you're tired of the situation, you're tired of going, if you're, okay, put it to you this way, not putting Christianity out here, but those Israelites went around that same mountain for 40 years, when it was a 3-day journey. 3 days.
They was hard-headed.
And God was like, I got to get rid of some of these people because they still clinging to the leeks and the onions that they got when they was in Egypt. So, ma'am, I'm not talking to you, Miss Brittany. I'm talking to the able-bodied people who are now tired of this shenanigans and shade continually going on and on and on and on and on. But I'm like, y'all keep voting in these local people who then back up the people who you don't want in office. And that's the problem.
One of the people that nobody seems to want into office, you know, Miss, I got my GED 4 months before I got sworn in. Coming from HuffPost.com, Laure Boebert ripped for inane pro-gun take. We didn't ban planes after 9/11. Yeah, you heard me. Extremist Republican Laure Boebert of Colorado argued on Fox News, of course, Thursday that gun control isn't the answer to mass shootings because when 9/11 happened, we didn't ban planes. When she got elected, when she happened, we didn't ban GEDs, but I digress. We secured the cockpit, said Boebert, the lawmaker who posed for a Christmas photo with her 3 young children holding assault rifles last year. Mind you, assault rifles which are not allowed in the house because of the felony that her husband carries for exposing himself to a minor. But you know, we don't talk about Bruno. No. I want our schools secured. That is not the answer. But let's keep going. She said, I want our children protected, and I want teachers that can protect themselves and their students. And you know what? We can achieve this without trying to disarm law-abiding citizens. Let me say something real quick. First of all, if you're not subscribed to or following the Camp Taz blog, you need to get over there. Run over there because I talk about this in detail in that blog. But first of all, you conservative, pseudo-Christian GOP members don't even want to trust teachers with science, math, or history. And you want to trust them with a gun? You keep saying that teachers aren't supposed to raise your kids, but you leave the teachers there to you leave your kids there for the teachers to raise your kids. You don't teach them nothing at home. How many teachers get let go every year because they have to physically defend themselves after all these everybody gets a trophy ass kids that y'all raising? All these soft parenting ass kids that y'all raising. So you want to have a gun there? Hell, kids are blowing other kids and their own heads off with guns that they have at home that are supposed to be secured. So the teacher's supposed to keep the gun where? Who's going to pay for this gun? Who's going to pay for the training? Who's going to pay for the hours at the shooting range? Who's going to pay for the CCW? Who's going to pay for the lockbox? And the lockbox in a classroom. I've been that teacher. I've been that coach that had a whole classroom in an office. If it comes down to protecting my students, that's where my focus is. I'm going to tell you, I'm honestly going to forget that I have a firearm sitting in a safe in the back corner underneath my desk. And you're asking a teacher to potentially shoot their own student. Y'all having major arguments online right now about different cultures feeding or not feeding children that are imposed upon them after school, and parents be like, oh, can you watch them till 10 o'clock at night? Oh, they can stay till 8. The fuck? You didn't ask me to come before. Y'all having arguments about that, calling people child abusers when they give your kid chicken nuggets and fries, knowing that that's what you give your kids every night. But you want the teacher, Miss Bernadine, that done worked at the school since 1946, to have a Smith & Wesson?
Said 1946.
You want the pedophilic teacher that they had to make the dress code for to have a gun? You want the jacked up principal that don't like black and brown people to have a weapon?
Let's not forget, because we're gonna go in, because I know we got other things to talk about. Let's not forget there have been cops in classroom. There have been cops or security guards in classrooms, and Black people or people of color have suffered. Like, remember when that girl was in the classroom for arguing? They called in the security officer, dragged her out of her desk. Or how about the girl who they slammed her head on the concrete?
I can do you 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Parkland school shooting?
Oh,
the
Lord.
School resource officer is now, because they have him in 4K on school security, hiding and not protecting them kids. Y'all keep with this good guy with a gun. You want to know the good guys with the gun? Y'all kill us. Security guard that subdued an assailant. Y'all showed up and shot him. There was a black woman after the Uvalde shooting where there was a white man who was speeding through an apartment complex he didn't even live at. He was stopped and they were told, like, hey, you got to drive the speed limit around here. There's kids, da-da-da-da-da. He left. He came back, sat in the parking lot, waited for a graduation party to start, pulled out a rifle and started shooting. A black woman pulled out her pistol and was like, pop, pop, no, you don't. The thing about it is the good guys with guns are the reason why you are so proud to call yourself a cowboy, because back in the day, cowboy was a derogatory term because that's how they referred to us on the farms. Now you use it as a term of endearment. The good guys with the guns are the ones you want to shoot. So we got to think, until you face to face with me, I can't pull out my gun.
And see, here's another thing. Y'all keep saying, no, I'm not saying y'all. We say it. I'm like, we'll say to you, pull up. But see, here's the problem. Y'all can't pull up without a weapon or another person.
Or y'all just don't pull up at all. But real quick, we're going to take a pause for a cause. We'll see you in 2 and 2. This is the last time you will see this ad. Tomorrow's a brand new ad. And I think y'all going to like the brand new designs for tomorrow also. But we'll see you back in 2 and 2.
You lost another one.
Okay, now in all fairness, because I have to be fair, there is a member of the GOP that has a plan to save America. We're gonna go to the clip, and then I'm gonna go to the website to read the points of this plan. But y'all got to see the video first, or you're really not gonna. Just watch.
Oh, God.
Republicans for. Republicans seem to have no solutions, just rhetoric.
Some of my colleagues are more about stating the obvious, not finding solutions.
While the Republicans took a walk, the Republicans had no plan.
A Republican Party that hadn't done a damn thing.
We have real answers. They don't.
What is the Republican plan?
I'm Rick Scott. We've put together a plan to rescue America after Republicans win this year. But official Washington won't like this plan, but you will. Read it for yourself at rescueamerica.com. I approve this message and this plan because I want my country back. How about you?
Before you even tackle this shenanigans and shade, I just want to know, do I need to get something to drink? Okay, excuse me for a moment. Excuse me, I have to take off my headset so I won't be able to hear anything for a minute. Hold up. Lord, here we go.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to get my inhaler tonight. Jesus, be a breathing treatment.
Okay, lay it on me.
Here's the point. I'm literally reading them in order. I played it. It's rescueamerica.com. Fact check me if you want to. That's why I always tell y'all where I get the information from. Point 1, educate. Don't be shady tonight, Taz. Do not be shady. Point 1, education. Our kids will say the Pledge of Allegiance, salute the flag, learn that America is a great country, and choose the school that best fits them, aka private or charter schools, because they're trying to dismantle public education.
I got it.
Point 2, colorblind equality. That is an oxymoron, but let's continue. Government will never again ask American citizens to disclose their race, ethnicity, or skin color on any government form. And before you go, Taz, that sounds like a great idea. Do you think these government forms will continue to be available online? They're going to go back to the days where you have to go in person and they'll just code them like they used to do. You know, what Trump and his daddy got federally sued for doing.
Yeah.
3, safety and crime. The soft on crime days of coddling criminal behavior will end. We will refund and respect the police because they, not criminals, are the good guys. You all do realize the tagline law and order and tough on crime are just dog whistles for fuck up black and brown people? Go ahead, D-Mac.
I have a question. Not tough on crime, sir? Where have you been for the last 10, 15, 20 years?
Oh, because it's just a racial trope. It's not an actual mantra.
Okay.
4, immigration. We will secure our border, finish building the wall, and name it after President Donald Trump. But it's amazing how they're only concerned about the southern border, not the northern border, and not cracking down on illegal immigrants that come in over ship or on airplanes, or who just overextend their visas.
Oh, yeah.
5, growth/economy. We will grow America's economy, starve Washington's economy, and stop socialism.
Before you say anything. So, my good sir, I have a question for you. Since you have so many good ideas. Are you going to stop building things over in other countries and then importing them here?
No.
Then if you're not going to do that, then I'm going to ask you to respectfully shut the entire fuck up.
And does he mean Washington State's economy or the District of Columbia's economy? Because either way, those economies affect the GDP of the entire United States. And socialism, the Republican-run states need socialism to stay alive. Because if you get rid of Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, all of these things, Section 8. First of all, if you get rid of Section 8, there will be no more Donald Trump. There will be no more Elon Musk. There will be the
Oh, one more thing. If you want to quote unquote starve Washington, D.C.'s economy there, let me just be really clear with you. If you do that, in effect, every last police station in every known state, county, and otherwise will be in effect useless.
But here's the thing. If you want to,
just throwing that out there.
And my thing is, if you're using this wording to try to denote that you want to remove lobbyists, do you know how you get rid of lobbyists? You put the control in the people, which is socialism, which is what you all lean on. But I digress. 6, government reform and debt. We will eliminate all federal programs that can be done locally and enact term limits for federal bureaucrats and Congress. They always say they want to enact, term limits till they get elected. And then they're like, oh, these kickbacks is noise. And you want to get rid of federal programs? You do realize the federal programs are what is putting money into your, PACs that pay for your elections, your light bills, your water bills, your new SUVs, Marjorie Taylor Greene, in the gray car, Double D Mother, Musty Marjorie. You know that SUV that you want to do all of your interviews in right now? Your PAC.
You can't find an office, just saying. But here's another thing, I'm going to say this. But, sir, if you want those programs to be done locally, again, your police departments are paid through the federal government, through the subsidies that they have for those freaking weapons, which are unchecked and unaccounted for and have no accountability.
Public school teachers, firemen, police officers, EMTs are paid through public funds, aka socialism. You eliminate that, you're telling us not to defund the police and to respect the police because they're the good guys, but your programs, your ideas would eliminate them. So thank you. But point 7, fair, fraud-free elections. We will protect the integrity of American democracy and stop left-wing efforts to rig elections. It's amazing that they keep saying that the elections were rigged in favor of Democrats, but I don't know about where y'all live. Every other person that was up for election this past election season, outside of our governor, who was Democrat, everyone else elected was Republican. So what did we rig? We still have a super majority in our General Assembly of Republicans. What did we rig? That would be the worst rig ever. If it was rigged, wouldn't Trump be in office? Wouldn't everything, since they're saying the Democrats, the left side, rigged everything. First of all, everybody on the left is not Democratic. We would still be counting votes because we had Green Party people, Pink Party people, Tea Party people, Democrats, Independents, Progressives, Republicans, Conservative okay.
Take a moment.
Point 8, family, because there's 11. I got to get through these.
Mm-hmm.
We will protect, defend, and promote the American family at all costs. But what is your definition of family? Because I'm
a man and a woman.
Family, you wouldn't defend. Point 9, gender, life, science. Here we go.
I knew it was coming.
Men are men, women are women, and unborn babies are babies. We believe in science. No, you do not believe in science because nothing of that is science. And you just said that you would defend the family of those in America, and families are quite diverse. So once again, you wouldn't defend my family, and you would put a cluster of cells that I dispel from my body once a month, every month, since I was 12 years old, at a higher priority than me. Let's be real. Because if you're fighting for a fetus, then you are fighting for, and those that menstruate in society will understand this, the jellyfish that we sneeze and cough up every month, a couple times a month, actually.
So another thing, get to that. I'll try and remember.
Okay. So I got 10 and 11. 10, Religious liberty and big tech. First of all, those two things do not go
Not go
together.
together.
Americans will be free to welcome God into all aspects of their life. America does not have a nationalized religion. America was not based upon religion, religious freedom, or anything else. Please dispel that whitewash bullshit. Y'all need to let go of that, like y'all need to let go of Betsy Ross created the first American flag. No, Betsy Ross just had a nephew who was great in PR, bitches. And if you want to argue with me, argue with your mama and your grandpappy, because she didn't. But anyway, let's go. Final point. America first. Oh, I knew the KKK trope was going to come. We are Americans, not globalists. We know you're not globalists because you don't look beyond the borders of the United States, and you are so egotistical that you call one country the name of two continents.
So I'm gonna remember. So, excuse me, gentlemen. I'm gonna speak to you, and I hope there's a lot of gentlemen listening right now to our things on Facebook and Twitter. So if every life matters, then y'all need to stop masturbating.
Elle Woods told y'all on Legally Blonde.
That's reckless abandonment.
And if you do not properly keep a registry of every ejaculation, you have no claim to anything.
It's reckless abandonment, baby.
And for all of you men that are like, I have no choice once a woman gets pregnant. First of all, you had a choice before a woman got pregnant.
You could have wore a condom, baby.
Only ones responsible for birth control, and y'all need to be honest with yourselves. When you lie to people, going, oh yeah, baby, I got one on, and you either done poked holes in it, or you get on your podcast, or you get online, or you talk to your little buddies about how you slipped it off, and then you act surprised that she's knocked up because she was believing and trusting in you that you put it on. Or y'all roofie these girls, which contradicts their birth control that they're on.
So fellas, like I said, let me do a simple math. 1 + 1 = 2. So there are 2 people in the bedroom, and there are 2 people who are making decisions to do the act, and there are 2 people who need to be deciding the future of said thing that they are creating. Because at this particular point, if the woman has already taken her birth control, and you decide to not add to that and put the condom on, and not poke holes in it, and not slip it off during the act, then please do not come at a woman's neck when she says, yo, this is your baby.
Well, here's the thing.
What? No. You didn't do what you were supposed to do.
But me looking at the men online, and this is just rough statistics, because no, I haven't been able to look at every man online that's interested in having sex with a woman. I would say about 25% of the time, it is consensual. They have decided, okay, we're not going to use any protection. Whatever will be. And at that time, those men are like, okay, baby, yeah, I just want it. Oh, yeah, it feel good. I've been wanting you. I want you. I want you. I want you. But
it's more like 10%.
What about the men who are like, babe, you want to go out to dinner? And the only time we find out their true intentions are when we're like, nah, I got an early day tomorrow, but I want you. You ain't got to do nothing. You just got to lay there. The fuck? You said dinner. How did dinner go to me being a human fleshlight? No, that is not sexy. To the men who, no matter what you do, what you say, they're not going to take no for an answer. You know, AKA Brock Turner, who raped a woman out by a dumpster so horrifically that fully grown men got sick. After protecting and defending this woman, they got sick to their stomach and almost contaminated the scene. But men, No, it's amazing how y'all don't blame the farmer when there's an influx of corn or wheat or strawberries or grapes. But you are the farmer. We are the field. I, as a woman, can get pregnant one time per year. Doesn't matter if I give birth in January, I still got to recover. And then if I do again, it's still gonna take me into the next year. A man could screw a woman every day, and literally, if the seed hits, could have 365 babies in a year.
I mean, what's his name? What's his name with the I?
366 in a leap year.
What's his name with the I, girl?
Put everything on a woman. But y'all sit here and proclaim you're stronger than us. There's even a man out here with a podcast saying that there's no reason for women to even learn self-defense, because if he gets irritated by us, he just gonna choke us out.
What's the name of the rapper with the eye, with the lazy eye?
What, Fetty Wap? No, Fetty Wap ain't got no eye.
Yeah, no, Fetty Wap. That's what I'm talking about. Look at how many children. Look how many children he got.
First of all,
look how many children that man have. Between him and Future, they going for a goat.
No, let's look at Nick Cannon, Mr. Lupus himself. And I'm sorry. And some people might be like, well, Taz, you got 4 kids. First of all, I did not learn the extent of all of my medical issues until after my youngest son was born. Because unfortunately, there were some genetic things I passed on to my children that if it would have been brought to my attention beforehand, I probably wouldn't not have ever had children, because I don't want my children to suffer the way that I do. But, you know, medical apartheid. Don't know about that. I guess I'll revisit that class at some point this year. But it's a lovely book. Google is free. Amazon has books. So does your local library. But Nick Cannon right now has multiple women pregnant by him. But I promise you, everybody is going after those women. But not after him, who willingly and knowingly, because he said, I want to have as many children as possible. And my thing is, now, farmers used to do that back in the day. And white men do that all the time, because they're like, oh, I want to submit my legacy. But what you feel your legacy is may not be what your children bring forth. Because just because you bear that fruit does not mean that fruit is going to bear the way that you bore. Because a lot of uber conservative parents,
they get that karma real quick. That karma is heavy.
They bore LGBTQIA, woke, liberal children, because those children were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why? And here's another reason why a lot of their kids turn out a certain way. Because I bet y'all didn't see this coming. I saw it coming from a mile away, but pay attention to this next clip.
Holy shit. White evangelical Christianity is not Christianity. Jerry Falwell, fucking James Dobson, fucking Billy Graham, none of them were Christians!
No, but seriously, they weren't.
They just played the part because Christians were easy targets to push their agenda.
No, but seriously, okay. So first, I've got to introduce you to this guy called Paul Pocono or whatever. He was a positive eugenics person. Guess what? He was an atheist. That's important. So Paul, in the 1930s, created the American Institute of Family Relations. Guess who worked for him? James fucking Dobson, who is like the father of conservative Christianity. James Dobson was a fucking atheist. Christians were just a soft fucking target. Guess who we also canceled? Tim and Beverly LaHaye? Yes, LaHaye from the Left Behind series. Beverly LaHaye wrote the groundwork for the modern day Christian woman. Look, right there, James Dobson. All of those people started the Conservative Baptist Network that took over the Southern Baptist Convention. Christians, I'm sorry, but you're atheists.
They're businessmen. This is why you have conservative Christian pastors now being, I'm not going to say now being, people have more access to clear videos through their cell phones and internet connections everywhere that they go, then now you're getting to see what people have been preached to and preached about for years in these evangelical foot washing churches. They're not
Again,
Christian, they're businessmen. Why do you think they have no problem getting into the pulpit telling you they need a jet, or saying, Sister Clarice just tied $200. Who gonna match her? Why ain't you matching Sister Clarice? You ain't a good Christian if you can't come down here and give the Lord a good $300. Knowing you ain't giving the Lord $300, you giving that pastor a new Cadillac.
okay, I'm gonna say this, and I know we're at an hour and 2 minutes here. I'll say this. Seeing as how I've come out of I was at a family church for the beginning of my life. Then we went to a non-denominational, I want to say non-denominational, but it may have been denominational. I really don't know. And then I went back into family church there. I didn't have, like, the pastors that I saw or were in front of me at the time weren't asking, if that makes sense, for any of that particular level of things.
You weren't in conservative evangelical churches.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just giving the other side. I'm playing the other side there. That there are some who do their due diligence and read what they can from what's out there, even though it's still from a skewed white man's probability there. They do read, and they don't do what the conservative ones do. Gosh, this is such a loaded topic. So loaded.
You have those that were actually called, and you have those that want the prestige, the title, the fandom, because they're pastor groupies. Let's be real. They're pastor
Of course.
groupies.
I'm not going to lie.
I don't care what shade you are. I don't care what ethnicity, what race you are. And you have those that are like, ooh, this is what I want. So this one, because I'm sorry, Creflo Dollar Jr., you don't need a jet. TD Jakes, you's a grifter from way back. And I got the receipts on you because I used to work at School Outfitters. You know, the business that your church and yourself used to defraud all the time because you thought that everybody that worked there was white and you wasn't expecting me to get hired there in fraud protection. Yeah, that was me. That was me that shut off that supply line when you were supplying your daycare for free.
I'm sorry,
but you have businessmen that are sitting up in mansions. If your pastor is sitting up in a mansion and you got church members that are suffering, but the pastor coming up in there in a shiny suit and the first lady got the latest of everything on, yeah, that's how you know.
I'm just going to say this, and I know we got to say our final thoughts. For those people who are seeking honest truth there, please, as they say in most doctoring circles, if you're unsure about something, get a second opinion. Do not just go off of, and please, when they put those things up there on the screen, please research them. Don't just take what they're saying on that screen for verbatim, because most of the time it's loaded and shenanigans.
Learn the definitions of stuff, because an evangelical is not supposed to have a church home. An evangelical is supposed to travel the land, bringing the Lord's good work and the Lord's good word to those that are willing to hear it. An evangelical is supposed to have their light trimmed and burning in order to not only let the bridegroom know that they are ready to go with the bridegroom, aka Jesus, but to also show people that they are a safe space. If you have an evangelical that has established a church, baby, run. But go ahead and give your final thoughts, because we're going to end this with the video of Rafael Cruz being accosted.
Oh Lord, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying. My final thoughts for this is, if like I said earlier, if you're not doing something and you're not being hindered from doing the something, if you're not actively researching the people who you're going to elect to represent you, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to make sure you thoroughly, and I made sure I threw in that thoroughly, get that extra spittle out. Thoroughly, because you want to make sure that they're standing for what you stand for. Because at the end of the day, who you elect locally will influence who's going to be elected federally. See that timetable? The federal government is the federal government. It's going to be there. But whoever's going to be your local government, they're going to be there for a lot longer of a term table than the federal government. Because remember, that changes hands every 4 years, give or take. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure you're looking into that. And I'm going to say this. They better not, girl. If y'all ever hear that I'm running for president, y'all better run. Y'all better run. Like, run for the hills.
I could qualify for chief of staff. Let's make that happen.
Y'all better run for the hills, because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be the literal most open book person you have ever seen for a president in your life. If I have a meeting, trust and believe, I will be reporting on it. I'll have my secretary make sure that she takes the notes, whatever I've said, and that's going to get. I'm email it. I'm just email it out to the news stations and tell them no cuts, no cuts. I want everything as I have said it, and people are gonna be like, "Are you serious?" Yes. Now, unless it's a matter of national security, that's not gonna be a paper. Let's be real. Let's be honest, because there are things preventing me from, giving national secrets. But if it's about something about governing the people who I'm been elected to govern, y'all gonna know. Because I've said this to her, I've said it to other people at my job. I said, see, here's the difference between, because somebody tried to say that was what Trump was trying to do. No, baby. Here's the problem. Here's the difference. I'm saying, if I was ever to be elected president, here's my first day. I'm literally calling all the chiefs of staff. Well, first, we'll have the chief of staff will be day 2, but the head and the minor head of the Senate and the head and the minor head of the House of Representatives. And I'm be like, look, here's the deal, baby. I don't care what you think about me. That is not my problem. I could care less. That, at the end of the day, is worth dust to me. But what is my problem, and what's your problem too, is you see those 3.5 million people that number growing each and every day. They've elected us to represent them. So if you ain't got something that doesn't benefit them to hit my desk for me to sign, you better make sure you have 2/3 of that Senate and that House to make sure you can override me, because otherwise than that, it's going to get right back to the drawing board. You're going to have to go. And then my big Senate day, I'm like, if you are not a Senate, if you don't have a Senate or House of Representatives on your badge, get out. I will be turning over those tables like Jesus did in that temple that day. Get out. You are not to cross this threshold unless you got a Senate or House of Representatives or a visitor for a tour of the Capitol building, which they probably won't be doing for a good couple of years after that whole January 6th shenanigans. But go on, I'm done.
Sure. Real quick, just to run through what we couldn't get through, Mitch McConnell is showing interest in gun reform, Biden is reportedly planning to cancel an additional $10,000 in student debt for borrowers who make under $150,000 a year. That's everybody. A rifle maker in Texas, the AR-15 rifle maker is deep in the pockets of the GOP. Wait a minute. And from the Insider, more former TikTok employees are speaking out publicly about the 996 culture and crushing productivity expectations that saw staff working until midnight and on weekends. Baby, that's everywhere. But here are the cliff notes. More former TikTok employees have criticized the company's work culture publicly. And to the Insider, they describe pay secrecy and pressure to attend late meetings because of time zone conflicts. Baby, every company tries to pressure you into not telling people what you make. TikTok said it boosted international hiring, so staffers didn't have to attend after-hour meeting. Yeah, sure. That was what's good. And the biggest story of the night from LGBTQNation.com. A pastor tells city council that gay people should be slaughtered. A pastor who addressed a city council meeting in Arlington, Texas, of course it was Texas, told the council and the crowd that gay people should be executed as people in the crowd said, amen and yup. According to God, we should hate pride, not celebrate it. Pastor Jonathan Shelley of Steadfast Bible Church in Hurst, Texas, said, what the fuck is he in Arlington if he is in Hurst? Anywho, as the audience booed, God has already ruled that murder, adultery, witchcraft, rape, bestiality, and homosexuality are crimes worthy of capital punishment. First of all, God has killed more people than the rest of us, okay? God is very jealous. God is very vengeful. And y'all keep talking about homosexuality in the Bible. You're going by the 1942 translation. And homosexuality, the word, did not exist when the Bible was originally written. They changed the word to pedophilia. That's why the verse that y'all love to quote, they talking about men, a man should not lie with man. If you look at that verse, it says lie and then lay. Lie, as in to tell a falsehood. And lay with a male, not with a man. Do you know the word that came before male, before they did the 1942 Germany Nazi translation, because that's what you're studying? It was a Hebrew equivalent of pedophilia. But you know, I digress. But as always, join us tomorrow. Gonna leave you with the video. Yes, and for those of you, I do know that a handcuffed pregnant Black woman was shot in Kansas. I do not have enough information about it to talk about it in detail. It was brought to my attention by someone that I know that lives in Kansas. So when I get more information, and I'm not talking on rumor or gossip, I will bring the story to you. But we're going to end tonight with Cruz being accosted while Cruz was trying to have dinner, and pay attention to how smug he is. So if you know anybody that lives in Texas, tell them, vote Raphael, stop calling him Tez. Raphael, what his mama named him in Canada, Raphael Cruz, out. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one.
Why did this keep happening? And why did you come here to the convention to take blood money? Why? When 19 children died, 19 children died. That's on your